these are some really excellent tubular bells. Can you get the door, honey?
Get the door yourself, you lazy butt.
Composer life. Hi there, this is Sam with Second Tier Sound. Really nice to see you here. Today I'm doing a review for you. Not sponsored this time. I got a copy from ProjectSAM's Lineage Percussion, their newer, well, new-ish library, because it kinda is a true strike with different interface and different colors on it. Well, not entirely. There are some new things as well. So we're gonna take a look at that, see what it sounds like specifically, and also what I think about it and comparing it to other percussion libraries. So let's get going. You might wonder, is this entirely new? Is it just a reshaping, new interface? Well, let's go a little bit deeper and compare the different versions and see what you get. Obviously, you get more stuff in the Pro version, hence the price, but the core version is still a very good library. So what do you get more of in the Pro version? Well, you get more of everything. You get more toms, more snares, more cymbals, etc. And there are a few unique instruments that I don't think you will miss in the core version. They're nice to have. But the big difference is that you don't have any kit builders. You have less prepared kits, but also no mic options. You have a great sounding pre-mixed microphone, but it's kind of nice to have the virtual stage and the different mic positions, and I'm gonna talk about that later. You also get a little bit less round robins in 4 version, but otherwise it's pretty much the same library with the same adaptive sync and nice extensive mapping and customizations. Now, let's just listen to some of the sounds. Not all of them, but most of them, and just go right through so you can hear what this library has to offer. Celesta is really dynamic and also has a pedal, so you can have long notes and short notes. One thing you don't often see in glockenspiel instruments is actually the effect to dampen it with a pedal. So this is dampened and the pedal down. And it also has a nice glissando here. And they are even adaptive. I very much like the timpani in this library. Full control and everything you need, and great lettering or dampened control. Tubular bells sound great. And also they have this really nice dampen and lettering function. It just sounds like a doorbell. Let's take a brief look at the interface, because if you are familiar with TrueStrike, you will feel right at home. But also I wanted to show you how good this interface is and how it really speeds up your workflow. Here is the Gran Casa 2 that only exists in the Pro library. But I wanted to use this one to show you everything you can do with this interface. At the time of this review, there's actually a bug here that ProjectSAM knows about, and they will fix it. And that is that the key switches don't show up unless clicked on them on the interface. Now you see they show up here. So let's just quickly listen to this Gran Casa. Here we have the ringing sound. You see the color coding really helps you, and if you have an NKS keyboard, it helps you even better. And the black keys are dampened ones. All right, then we have rim shots, or hit rims, I mean, and then rim flam. And then one of the best things here, the tremolo. When I lift my finger from the keys, I'll get a last extra beat. Now, maybe the coolest thing here is the adaptive sync. Everything that has a turquoise color is adaptive sync. So if I hold this in, I've got a 2-beat roll. Even if I hold the key down, it just stops. And that's because it's set to 2 beats. I can go up to 8 beats, or I can go down to half a beat. Let's try 5 beats. If you do a lot of orchestral composition with a lot of percussion, you do a lot of rolls. And most libraries, at least in the past, used to just have a nice recorded sample of a roll. And it only has one length, maybe 2 if you're lucky. So you have to put that MIDI note exactly so that it lands on the 1. This is just so fast. You set it to beat you want, and you can even MIDI control this one if you want to change it. But not only that, it also has a downbeat, which I really like. Listen to this. No matter where I hit the key, it will always land on the 1. And then you could also add 1 bar and then on the 1, or 2 bars or 3 bars. This is actually one of my favorite things about this library. It also has a few interesting effects here. It's when you drag the mallet across the drum. And also then we have wooden mallets. Or back to the hard mallet. But you might be like, well, yeah, that's a great sounding drum, but just that. Well, there's so much you can do here. And the first thing you can look at here is this little tool here. Basically the tail. This is recorded in a very nice room, so you get that big sound. Maybe you don't want it for some reason. Let's move this back a little bit. See? I haven't really removed the room sound because that is baked in, but the tail is not there. And then you can put on your own reverbs if you want to do that, or the built-in one. Or I can make it longer, obviously. Now, we could also work with the filter here. So if I drag the filter down, I get more focus on the lower frequency. So I can sort of dial in the sound here. Or I could obviously go high. In this case, it would be a little bit weird, but there you got a simple tool just to change the sound a little bit. And then a limiter. Still limit to higher peaks. All of these sounds are recorded accurately, so that means that they have the right level. Sounds natural. You won't have a shaker that sounds louder than a ground casa, but at least, you know, you could raise the volume if you need to, if it's really low. But that's just the start of it. Let's pitch down this baby. Or we can go all the way up. Like a baby ground casa. You can do a lot of tweaking here just to change that simple sound. But wait, there's more, obviously. We have this thing in the middle here, and it's basically the position of the drum in a virtual space. Now, if you have the core version, you don't get this, but if you have the pro version, you can then do this. Or I can put it right in the front. That really changes the sound, the attack, and the feel quite a bit. And let's just drag it around a little bit. So there's a little bit of trickery with mics and maybe some impulse responses as well. If you don't want to do that for some reason, you can just go to custom mix and drag the sliders up and down the way you want it yourself. You can have the pre-mixed or these 3 mics and different positions here, left and right. So with the pitch, with the mic positions, with the filter, reverbs and everything, you can really tweak the sound very quickly to the sound that you want. But they also have this mapping system, and it can be a little bit overwhelming the first time. I'm just going to briefly go over what it is. Here, it's showing all the drums that you have down here, and there can be a lot more than this. But there's something you need to know that wasn't clear to me for the start, and that is if you choose this drum here, example, it's marked down here. You see that now you can basically say where you want this drum to sound. So if you want it to be all these keys here, then you can do that. You can place them anywhere you want on this entire keyboard. So you can have a lot of drums and you can place them exactly the way you want it. What I really like the most is that you can have more keys for the same drum. Now, in general, you don't need more than 2, but it can really help you in terms of how you use your fingers. Sometimes you want to be quicker on the roll. It can be good to have 3, 4 fingers, actually. So one thing that wasn't clear to me also is this key. If it's white, it means it's only on white keys, not the black ones. If it's black, it's only on the black keys. And if it's a black and white, it's both. So that way you can choose exactly where you want the drums, because maybe you only want certain drums down here and then you want other drums on the black keys. So really customizable, really like it. And also here we have the round robins, and you can change that to random or to cycling. And then we have settings, and you have to play with all this, but there's 2 things you should know, and this is time interpretation, and that has to do with the adaptive sounds. You can have them go faster or slower if that would match your DAW better for some reason. Then also, you might want to put send CC11 to volume. That means that the volume is actually controlled with CC11. Otherwise, it's basically controlled with just how hard you hit the keys. Lastly, let's take a look at kits. Not just a great way to layer sounds, but also a fantastic way to speed up your workflow by creating your own patches, putting the drums wherever you want on the keyboard. The Rolls kit is just a great time saver because you have everything you need for quick drums and orchestra. And the rolls with everything you need. Or damp it. or your own roll, of course. Here's just an example of a lot of drums in one set. So the kit builder is really fantastic. It might not be obvious directly what it is. I mean, first of all, you can create your interesting performance patches where you just have interesting drums playing on top of each other, creating a bigger sound than just the individual drum. But what I also really like about it is that I can create my perfect orchestra patch that has just the drums I normally need on one channel instead of several channels. And I can build it exactly the way I want to. So I'm not gonna go into detail, but I'm just gonna show you how it works. So let's say I want to start with the drum. Maybe I want a gran casa so I can listen to it. Say I like that sound, so I click on that, and there it is, boom. Now it's loaded by default the way it is. So I can go into mapping and remove and add and move these things around the way I want it. Maybe I want it to be down here, no key switches and just one drum, for example. I can do that easily right there. And let's say I go plus because I want a cymbal as well. So I'm gonna add that cymbal there, and there it comes, and so on. Maybe I want a snare drum as well, and I put that snare drum in. And the great thing is I can then move the mics around, the positions, the reverb, the mix and everything, and create my perfect mix that I have all the drums that I need. And for example, if you just have one or two simple articulations, maybe that's all you need per drum, you can load in tons of drums and create the perfect patch that you can then save. You can't really save it here, but you save it as your template or a track preset, and it will load the same way again. Now, in the same way, there's also a melodic builder. So you can pick an instrument here. Maybe you want timpani at the bottom, for example, and on top of that, let's have a marimba. Now, they're actually placed on top because they're so big, so you hear them at the same time. Interesting sound, right? And maybe we can add, let's say, what do we want? A glockenspiel there. So when you play higher, and you can obviously in the mapping then change where you want each sounds to be. Maybe you just want the sound to sound up here or whatever, or further down. And you can do a lot here to create new interesting layers of sounds or your perfect patch where you have all the instruments that you need. So what's the verdict of this True Strike? Lineage Percussion, right? Well, I'm saying that because if you own True Strike, you do not need to upgrade. Sure, the Pro version is better, has more, has these great mic positions and all that. But you do have some of that in True Strike, and it's pretty much the same library. I do hope, though, that they have an upgrade for you if you own True Strike, and I don't know that actually. But that would make sense to me. It wouldn't be fair otherwise. Otherwise, they have a great pricing option, I think. I really like that they have a core version that is really good and complete and pretty much all you need. And then, if you feel like you need more detail, more mic positions, a few more kits and stuff and possibilities, then you can go and upgrade to the Pro version. And that's really consumer friendly. So you don't have to go and shell out a lot of money to get something really good. So a big plus, the pricing options and the budget model. Anyway, let's look at the interface. I think it's really the best out there. It's so fun to play with, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It's really well thought of. And it's easy to load the instruments, it's easy to do the rolls, everything you need, tweak the sounds, it's so quick. And ProjectSAM are always good at this. But let's compare it a little bit to other percussion libraries you can get. Take a look at Cineperc. That is a fantastic library. Has way more drums in general. It's a bigger package, more exotic stuff. And it sounds really good as well, but it costs more. So that's something to consider. And it doesn't have the nice features as Lineage Percussion has in terms of workflow. You could, if you're short on cash, go with Musio because they use the same samples as Cinesamples, just not the contact engine, and you don't have all the scripting perks. But let's take a deeper look into Spitfire's Abbey Road Percussion, because that is probably the best library today. And it has really amazing dynamic layers, round robins, lots of detail, more than you ever need, right? And I've tried that library, I even reviewed it here, and you might have seen that. When you have tried that library, it's hard to try anything else because you get really spoiled. It's so fun to play with because all the detail is there. Now, having said that, I still prefer Lineage Percussion. And here's why. I really like Spitfire, the audio, and I have it and I use it time to time. But one of these 3 libraries, I think it is now, just one of them is 100 gigabytes compressed on your hard drive. Lineage Percussion, I know it says 100 gigabytes, but it's not 100 gigabytes on your hard drive. I think it's 30 or something. And the Lineage Percussion is way more complete than Abbey Road. Well, sort of. You buy them in 3 different sections and you get a lot of drums there. But you have to buy all of them 3 to get sort of the same amount of similar drums to Lineage, and you don't get tonal percussion with Spitfire, at least not yet. Something to consider when one of those libraries costs, I think it's about the same as the Pro version of Lineage. So you need a lot of hard drive space, which costs a lot. You need to pay a lot of money for these libraries, and you still don't get tonal. And so you could say then, well, Lineage doesn't have the exotic drums, and I agree with that. That is actually my 2 things that I have a little bit of gripe with. It lacks some of the more interesting exotic drums, even though the orchestral percussion is very complete and very good. It's all you need there. And since I'm spoiled with the Spitfire percussion, it doesn't have the same dynamic layers and round robins, but it's still good. And for most people, it's absolutely all you need. I mean, it's just a little bit unfair, perhaps, to compare to Spitfire's dynamic layers. So, price, space, everything you need, I choose a Lineage. Really, I do. And I have it in my template now. I use it all the time. I think it's really good. So it's a great recommend from me. The other libraries I've mentioned I also think are really good. If you know any other libraries that you find is better, then let me know, please, in the comments. But that's going to be it for this review. I hope it was helpful. I hope it taught you if this is for you or not, or what other libraries you might need. And until next time, I hope you compose a lot of great music.